Hello and welcome. Good afternoon. Happy January 16th. Hopefully we're staying warm wherever we are. We're super happy to be here with our virtual town hall for the Division of Early Child Care. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're excited to share the work that IDHS DEC has accomplished in 2023. I am Corey Gold, the Chief of Staff, and we'll have some formal introductions as we move forward. But before we get started, I will pass to our partners at INCRA, the Illinois Network of Child Care Resource and Referral Agencies, for a few housekeeping items for our time together today. Lynette?
Thanks, Corey. Just let everybody know real quickly that this webinar is being recorded, and your cameras as participants will remain off and you will remain muted throughout the duration of the meeting. If you have questions, you should be able to type them into the questions box, questions and answers, and we have people monitoring that for you. And those questions will be answered as many as possible at the end of the session, or perhaps later on they will send out a questions and answers document that will have some answers for you there as well. So if you have any other questions, feel free to type those. As far as technical assistance, we have folks on the back end that are ready and available to assist you with your technical needs as well. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Lynette, and certainly all of INCRA for your ongoing support for our child care providers. On the next slide, we'll share our agenda. As noted, we'll share some formal introductions. We'll go through our strategic plan. We'll have some legislative updates to provide for you, some programmatic updates. We'll have some updates regarding our child care management system, that's our CCMS systems. We'll share updates regarding the program enrollment as well. From all of our members here, you'll hear something regarding a look ahead. So what is DEC envisioning for the future? Please note that some of the questions might be needed to respond, as Lynette mentioned, in a follow-up FAQ. We will certainly try to answer any and all questions that come in throughout regarding the question and answer feature. On the call, we have our entire executive team. That's Bethany Patton, myself, Corey Gold, Trish Rooney, Leslie Schwartz, Felicia Gray, Zach Allen, and Sinthu Ramalingam. Again, we'll be hearing from all of our team today. However, we're going to start with greetings and a warm welcome from the Secretary of the Department of Human Services, Dulce Quintero, followed by Kirsten Chernowski, the Associate Secretary of Early Childhood, Family, and Community.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm so excited to join you all today for this year in review of IDHS Division of Early Childhood. My name is Dulce Quintero, and I'm Secretary Designate of Illinois Department of Human Services. Throughout 2023, DEC has worked towards the governor's goal to make Illinois the best state in the country to raise young children. This has included strengthening and expanding existing programs and beginning implementation of the Governor's Smart Start initiative. As part of DHS, the Division of Early Childhood's work is a testament to our core mission. Help is here. And we're making history with investments and vision for our children's future. As we continue to work with our partners across state agencies, we step closer towards realizing the governor's plan to streamline our services and make them even more robust and accessible to all who need them. For those of you working on the front lines, thank you for your service and dedication to the young children and families of Illinois. To our childcare workers, early intervention service providers and coordinators, home visitors, mental health consultants, and to the many more who make up the fabric of Illinois' early childhood field, please know you are the ones who will influence the next generation of future of Illinoisans. Thank you for everything you do. Keep up the amazing work. We are here to support you, and we are so grateful for your contributions. And now I'll turn it over to IDHS Associate Secretary Kirsten Chernesky.
Thank you, Secretary, and good afternoon. It is so wonderful to be with y'all today. As Secretary shared, I'm Kirsten Chernesky, the Associate Secretary of Early Childhood, Family, and Community at IDHS. And I am so excited to talk about DEC's year in review. The division has been up to quite a bit throughout 2023. In addition to launching Smart Start, no small feat, DEC also finalized its strategic plan with many of you on the call's input. This document will guide the decision and policy making in DEC in the years to come, including as we prepare for the upcoming early childhood transition. It includes values, goals, and objectives to hone the division's work and priorities in order to fulfill both the division and governor's mission. Members of the DEC executive team will shortly describe how each objective will be accomplished and what data we'll be using to track progress along the way. I'm looking forward to sharing this with you, as well as providing updates in future conversations. As Secretary mentioned, I want to extend a sincere thank you for the work that you all do each and every day in service to young children's growth and development. 2024 will be another exciting year, and we are looking forward to doing our best to support the amazing and important work that you do. And now I will turn it back over to Corey, DEC's Chief of Staff, to reintroduce DEC's mission, vision, and values. Corey?
Thank you very much, Associate Secretary. The vision for the Division of Early Childhood, our Illinois pregnant persons, young children, and families have the supports they need to achieve their full potential. Our mission is DEC enhances equitable access to child care, home visiting, and early intervention programs and services that support whole child development. On our next slide, we'll speak to our values. In order to achieve our vision and mission, the division has also identified 6 defining guiding values. These values will both help guide us as we make tough decisions about where to focus our attention and resources, and help ground us in what the division stands for and how we would like to provide services and supports to Illinois children and families. The first value is whole child focus, which speaks to DEC's desire to develop and promote programming that focuses on developing a child across multiple domains and with multiple partners, such as family and community members, to promote critical brain development in the early years. The next value is quality service delivery, which involves delivering programs and services rooted in science-based best practices to provide the best possible services to children and families. The next value is equity, which focuses on designing and maintaining programs that center equity, cultural humility, and anti-racism in service design and delivery. In addition, it is important to remember that DEC prioritizes serving children and families with access to the fewest resources and opportunities. The next value is relentless pursuit of mission, which reminds us to always keep pushing towards action and change in support of Illinois children and families. The next value is stability and sustainability, which involves developing services that provide continuity across social and political changes while remaining flexible enough to meet emerging needs. We believe it is extremely important to ensure that our families and providers view us as a stable source of support. The sixth and final value is respect and dignity, which focuses on building family, provider, and DEC staff trust through responsible and empathetic programs and services. And now we will hear from the director of the Division of Early Childhood, that is Bethany Patton.
Thanks so much, Corey, and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Bethany Patton, and I'm the director of DHS's Division of Early Childhood. I am so excited to be with you this afternoon on this cold January day to share an update on what we've been up to in 2023, as well as what we have planned for 2024. As you heard from Secretary Quintero and Associate Secretary Chernowski, 2023 was a busy year for the Division of Early Childhood and for the rest of the early childhood field. This afternoon, we're looking forward to sharing more with you about our strategic plan, updates on our programs and their enrollment, progress made on the Governor's Smart Start initiative, and much more. As we get started, I would similarly like to recognize all of our partners in this work, our community partners like Child Care Resource and Referral Agencies, Child and Family Connections offices, all our kids networks, Birth to 5 Illinois teams, networks and associations, and more are all critical to knitting together the early childhood field and helping families and service providers to better connect. Our research and advocacy partners help to sharpen and hone the conversation around how to better serve young children and families in Illinois and share data and research on what improvements can make the biggest impact. And then, of course, our service providers and the families that they work with are focused day in and day out on supporting positive development and a nurturing environment for our state's youngest children and their families. Thank you for everything that you do and for continuing to work toward your own vision of better services for young children and families. Now, let's go ahead and dive into our strategic plan. Corey already shared a refresher on DEC's mission, vision, and values, which were shared in last year's town hall. And before DEC's executive team shares more about the strategic plan's individual projects, key performance indicators, and work completed to date, I would also like to provide just a quick refresher on our goals and objectives. You can see those outlined here, and then there's a little bit more information on the next slide. DEC has identified 5 interconnected strategic goals shown here, and these were identified to help drive systems change across the areas of early childhood in which DEC provides services. The first goal is to enhance access and enrollment, which focuses on improving families' ability to access and enroll in DEC programs and refer families to other programs. The second goal, strengthening quality early childhood education and care delivery, includes investing in measurement and evaluation of the early childhood workforce. And these first 2 goals are focused on creating positive outcomes for the children and families that DEC serves. The third goal is to optimize data and technology, focused on enhancing infrastructure and capabilities to support innovation, data-informed decision-making, and a more modernized experience for families and providers in early childhood. The fourth goal is to build the division's capacity, and this involves investing in DEC's own staff to promote employee growth, create a positive workplace culture, and increase collaboration across the department, all in service of enhancing the division's ability to provide services to children and families. And then the fifth and final goal is to evaluate and adjust funding, which focuses on assessing funding allocation and distribution mechanisms to ensure adequate and equitable funding levels for families and providers, while at the same time remaining adaptive to changing policy and funding environments. And these last 3 goals are focused on providing services in a way that is equitable and efficient. Of course, these each have different objectives within them. These 5 strategic goals will guide how we provide services and how we can promote best outcomes for young children and families. In addition to these 5 interconnected goals, we have also developed and prioritized objectives for each of the 5 goals. And you can see those here, and we'll go into more depth shortly. In addition to these 5 primary areas, there are also cross-cutting objectives that are integrated across all of the objectives. And these include both bidirectional stakeholder engagement as well as equity, which focuses on centering equity and racial equity in the planning and implementation of our objectives to ensure that DEC programs, policies, and processes promote equitable outcomes for young children and families. And so with that, we'll go into more detail, and I will turn it over to Zach, DEC Senior Initiatives Administrator. Zach?
Thanks, Bethany. We will now review the projects, key performance indicators, and current work associated with each strategic plan objective. As you will see on the following slides, DEC has just started to work on associated projects and collect data from Q4 of 2023. DEC is working on the objectives and projects that we will discuss during the next several slides. Once those projects are complete, we will plan to move on to new projects and priorities that relate to each strategic plan goal. Within this goal of enhancing access and enrollment, there are 3 priority objectives with associated projects, key performance indicators, and numerical targets. The 2 objectives on this slide focus on assessing customer service policies within DEC to ensure staff are trained on customer service policies and guidance. This work lives in DEC's Bureau of Customer Service and Inquiries, led by Bureau Chief Terry Lamb. Current work in this area involves the development of a customer service and inquiries training and a manual, as well as a tracking and reporting system. The second project within this goal focuses on enhancing outreach to ensure families are aware of DEC programs and services. This work is coordinated by my office and touches all of the bureaus within DEC. Current work in this area involves the continuation of the Early Childhood Enrollment Campaign, as well as an Early Childhood Workforce Awareness Campaign that launches this week. The third priority objective within this goal involves implementing an IDHS DEC collaboration framework. This work is led by the Bureau of Collaboration and Partnerships. Current work in this area involves creating a framework that ensures attainable and sustainable goals and expectations. Trish Rooney will now take some time to discuss the priority objectives related to strengthening quality early childhood education and care delivery. Trish?
Thank you, Zach. Good afternoon. I'm Trish Rooney, Associate Director of Child Care. And to strengthen and improve the delivery of early childhood services, DEC will develop a systematic approach to supporting the workforce by supporting access to higher education and professional development through grants and trainings. In partnership with research organizations and stakeholders, DEC will evaluate its current practices and identify areas for improvement that will lead to more equitable access to delivery of services to the field. So at this moment, I'm going to pass it over to Leslie to discuss the next priority objective of strengthening the quality of delivery of early childhood education and care services. Leslie?
Thank you, Trish. So a strong continuous quality improvement system is vital to providing quality services. Although our initial assessment found that DEC programs do implement at least one CQI strategy, each program implements it differently, and DEC programs do not have a unified approach. So to this end, DEC program leadership have begun discussions on the development and implementation of a unified approach that will include technical assistance to grantees and CQI deliverables, with the goal of ensuring the programs offered by DEC are continuously improved and of the utmost of quality. I'll pass it on to Felicia to discuss optimizing data and technology.
Thank you and good afternoon. Our goal is to make data available, and we have several key performance indicators. The first, family participation in CCAP. The target is to increase the participation by 20% from state fiscal year 2024 to state fiscal year 2026. We have already defined family, confirmed the source of truth for the data, and established our baseline. The next, time to complete CCAP application. The target is 20% decrease in time from state fiscal year 2024 to state fiscal year 2026. We have, again, established a baseline for average time between submitting and processing the CCAP applications. CCAP request for additional information rate. The target is to decrease it by 20% from state fiscal year 2024 to state fiscal year 2026. Again, we've established a baseline for the average time between requests for information being sent to families and receiving the information back from them. The average time to complete the request submitted to the Bureau of Administrative Supports for data. The target is to decrease the time by 25%. We are currently drafting an internal process and procedure in the Bureau to address this request. Percentage of internal and external accessible data dashboards developed and published monthly. The target is to have 100% of the information available. We are currently mapping current data dashboards along with the process for publication and access. The percentage of data sharing agreements renewed. We are hoping to have the target of 80%. We are currently again mapping processes across IDHS divisions to ensure accurate and consistent reporting. I will now pass to Corey to discuss the next priority.
All right, thank you very much, Felicia. The priority objectives for building the division's capacity are to create and conduct a workforce assessment and to hire and conduct a thorough training of our staff. Currently, we are working with a consultant and our HR team as the lead to co-create a workforce assessment. Finally, we set prioritized domains to ensure our workforce assessment is credible and it can be used as a tool well into the future. This assessment should be completed by June of this year. And now I'll pass it over to back to Trish to discuss the next priority objective of evaluate and adjust funding for childcare. Trish?
Thank you, Corey. The main focus of this, all right, I'm gonna make sure the slides passed. Thank you. So the main focus of this objective is to develop and implement a plan to continue to improve DEC's childcare programs. We've been working actively with Code for America to develop a CCAP app, a mobile CCAP application. In the interim, a shorter application will be released early spring this year. Additionally, we have updated DEC's childcare cost model, a key component of the design to provide sustainable, stable funding to providers in the form of Smart Start grants. This funding is foundational to expanding the supply of childcare without increasing the cost burden for families, providing additional slots to support families, enrollment, and retention. With regards to the Smart Start transition grants, this fiscal year, we've completed 2 rounds of the grant funding to date. It's estimated that over 4,900 early childhood programs are currently eligible to apply, and we've had about 67% apply, which is about 4,000, little over 4,200. And of that 4,200, 97 of the applicants were awarded. We've distributed about 120 million, have been distributed as of December 2023. In preparation for the full implementation of the Smart Start workforce grants, we've updated the cost model using surveys, focus groups, and additional administrative data. And we have regularly met with the Child Care Ad Hoc Committee to seek feedback and guidance throughout the development of the grant's parameters, rules, and accountability measures. I will take this time to pass this now to Leslie to discuss a priority objective for early intervention.
Thank you, Trish. This objective is in regards to early intervention. Illinois' system of funding for early intervention needs to be updated and strengthened to support more equitable access to high-quality services for families and to recruit and retain a supported workforce. To that end, DEC increased rates for EI by 10% this year. And although we still have a long way to go, the rate increase has helped support the hiring of 59 service coordinators across the state. There are several other initiatives underway in early intervention to help inform future changes to the EI funding system to improve equitable access to service. These include cross-state research and cost modeling, both of which I'll discuss in subsequent slides. But for now, I'll pass it to Corey to discuss our diversity, equity, inclusion, and racial justice priority objectives.
Thanks very much, Leslie. Diversity, equity, inclusion, and racial justice is a cross-cutting goal for our strategic plan. This means DEIRJ cuts across all of the previous prioritized or priority objectives. To meet the objective to develop a needs assessment tool that addresses DEIRJ needs relating to staffing, contracting, and enrollment barriers, we are working with an expert consultant in the field to co-create a finalized equity assessment and co-create a co-created plan of action that will be used over time. The final plan will enable all DEC employees to confidently apply an equity lens in our daily work. And now I'll pass it back to Zach, who will discuss our next steps regarding our strategic plan. Zach?
Thanks so much, Corey. So as you can see, the Division of Early Childhood has started the implementation of the respective objectives within the strategic plan. Looking at moving forward, there will be quarterly reporting. Project owners will submit quarterly updates to the full strategic plan working group and to the director. The director will then communicate updates and progress with the secretary and the full division. Twice a year, the full strategic plan working group will meet to review overall progress to date and determine what pivots, if any, need to be made, as well as reviewing non-priority objectives and determining when and if to activate them. Annually, a more formal progress report will be shared with key stakeholders. Sinthu will now discuss the 2023 legislative recap. Sinthu?
Thanks, Zach. I'm, as Zach shared, going to now share about some updates from our 2023 legislative session, which included a lot of work to support children and families through the state budget, as well as through substantive legislation. The state fiscal year 2024, which goes from July 2023 through June 2024, included a $215 million increase in general revenue funds, $175 million of which was for Smart Start Illinois investments running through the Division of Early Childhood. These funds will go towards IDHS home visiting program, so more families who want it can receive this early support. Nation-leading childcare workforce grants that will stabilize programs and providers and give childcare workers a raise. Early intervention programs to enhance services for families and to give providers a raise, and to improve the child care management system. In addition, our state fiscal year 2024 budget implementation plan included codification of Smart Start Child Care program to help with those efforts. In terms of substantive legislation, we had Senate Bill 1794, led by Senator Passione-Zayas and Representative Ortiz, which codified the home visiting program into statute, required an advisory committee, which may be a new or existing body, and gives IDHS rulemaking authority. Senate Resolution 36 and House Resolution 86, led by Senator Turner and Rep. Schurer, called home visiting and EI programs essential components in addressing the opioid crisis and affirmed funding these programs is an appropriate use of opioid settlement funds. Senate Resolution 11, led by Senator Anderson, recognized out-of-school time programs as an important tool to improve outcomes for Illinois youth. Finally, House Resolution 44, led by Representative Mason, declared September 18th through 24th, 2023 to be Diaper Need Awareness Week. We are grateful to all the legislators, families, providers, workforce, advocates, and other stakeholders who supported this work to ensure that children's families and needs are met. I'm now going to turn things over to Leslie Schwartz to share more about our home visiting and early intervention programs.
Thank you, Sinthu. I'm Leslie Schwartz, the Associate Director of Early Intervention and Home Visiting. And on the next slide, you will see my leadership in each of those bureaus. So in the Bureau of Early Intervention, we have Benny Delgado as the Bureau Chief, and in Home Visiting, the Bureau Chief is Lori Orr. And on the next slide, I'll tell you a little bit more about home visiting and what we've been up to. So in Smart Start Home Visiting, we have been able to continue our trend of being a national leader in home visiting on the cutting edge of innovative practices. Smart Start Home Visiting was the furthest along program in implementing equitable funding approaches with Smart Start funding through the use of things like our cost modeling to set award amounts, conducting a statewide needs assessment to prioritize communities with the greatest need, and reforming our grants to require a salary floor. In 2023, we focused on fine-tuning the cutting-edge model already in use, as well as sustaining approximately 72 slots that would have otherwise ended when federal relief funds expire. We created an additional 238 slots for current grantees. We provided additional funding to home visiting programs to ensure home visitor salaries met the salary floor if they had not met it already. And finally, we invested in infrastructure to support current programming and future expansion. On the next slide, I will talk about 2024 and beyond. So in 2024, we will build on 2023's foundation and expand slots into new communities, working in partnership with the Illinois State Board of Education. In doing so, we will use data to identify priority communities from our statewide needs assessment. We'll conduct community readiness assessments in these identified communities. Then based on the results of these readiness assessments and contingent on appropriations, we'll issue a state fiscal year 25 expansion notice of funding opportunity in selected counties. We anticipate this will serve an additional 500 to 650 families above our state fiscal year 24 levels. This will effectively double the scope and impact of IDHS home visiting program. We are also in the process of updating our cost model, conducting a workforce analysis to engage the field on strategies we can implement to support recruitment and retention, and working with HFS on billing for Medicaid for home visiting. Now on the next slide, I'm going to switch gears to early intervention. As described in the strategic plan objective related to EI funding, we'll be making changes to the overall system of funding for early intervention in the near future. But in calendar year 2023, Smart Start funding allowed us to get a jump start in making improvements to the system, including implementing a 10% rate increase that came into effect on July 1, which has already had a positive impact on the system, resulting in 59 more service coordinators being hired. Also in 2023, we announced and budgeted for incentive payments for EI service providers, which I'm happy to report have started going out this month. And on the next slide, I'll walk you through what other plans we have to improve EI in 2024 and beyond. So over the next year, we will continue to study ways to improve Illinois early intervention program, much like what has been done in home visiting and childcare in recent years. For the first time through cost modeling, we'll determine the true cost of providing EI services to help inform future rate increases rather than using a flat percentage increase. We'll plan for the implementation of demonstration projects to test modified services to better support families with greater needs. We just finished research into how other states implement early intervention to help inform us on how we can make improvements. We will use all that we learned to develop an EI funding method plan that will be implemented to support the workforce and equitable service delivery with a priority on those families who are not currently receiving timely services in their communities. I'll now pass it over to Trish to provide information on childcare.
Thank you, Leslie. Next slide, please. The Office of Child Care is composed of 3 bureaus. The Bureau of Subsidy Management, led by Michael Garner-Jones, oversees all work associated with the Child Care Assistance Program. Bureau of Quality Initiatives, led by Michelle Wood, oversees work associated with workforce development, training, and program quality. They work in partnership with the Illinois Network of Child Care Resource and Referral Agencies, the 16 local child care resource and referrals across the state, and higher ed institutions to ensure providers have access to to training and grants that support improved workforce and program quality. Smart Start childcare initiatives are housed in this bureau. The Bureau Collaboration and Partnerships is led by Keisha Petties. They coordinate efforts to ensure that DEC is working in partnership with other divisions in DHS and with agencies across the state to increase engagement across and access for all DEC programs for providers, families, and their children, for the shared goal of supporting positive outcomes for families and children. Collaborative initiatives include All Our Kids Network, Infant Early Childhood Mental Health, and Head Start statewide collaboration, and Birth to 5. Next slide, please. With regards to innovation and funding and equity tested during the COVID-19 pandemic, childcare has conducted initial cost modeling and tested childcare contracts with the federal relief grant programs. This year, we transitioned these grants toward the Smart Start transition grants as we prepare for the Smart Start Workforce grants full rollout. Overall, Smart Start Workforce grants have the ability to impact the majority of the childcare industry, altering industry dynamics by making childcare jobs more attractive. Smart Start Workforce grants must reach the majority of the industry and meaningfully increase wages to have its full effect. Ultimately, the stable and predictable foundation will lead to more people entering the childcare field, expanding the supply of childcare, and helping to close early childhood deserts across the state. As shared previously, the Smart Start transition grants have completed 2 rounds of grants to providers. Will have the as shared previously, the Smart Start grants have completed 2 rounds of grants awards, and providers will have an opportunity to apply for a 3rd round starting at the end of this month. As far as our progress overview, as mentioned earlier, in preparation for the Smart Start Workforce grants implementation, we've been conducting with support and guidance from a federal initiative called Impact Project to design a training and technical assistance program to ensure that providers have the resources and training they need to successfully apply for the workforce grants. We've been refining the parameters of the grant and finalizing the rules to submit to JCAR. We will continue to meet with the Child Care Ad Hoc Committee as we plan the outreach and communication for the Smart Start Workforce grants. In addition to all the planning involved for the launching of the Smart Start Workforce grants, our current Smart Start initiatives have continued to work to strengthen and build the early childhood workforce. Of these 2 initiatives, the apprenticeship program, 44 apprentices across 4 childcare programs are participating in a pilot, and about $1.9 has been invested in the pilot this year. The pilot program has been designated as a registered apprenticeship program with the United States Department of Labor. The Early Childhood Access Consortium for Equity, also known as ECAs, in its academic year of 2023, 5,314 scholarship applications have been received to date. A total of $27.2 million in scholarships have also been awarded in the same academic year. In academic year 2022, there were 905 applications received and 400 approved. A total of $5.7 million in scholarships were awarded in the previous academic year of 2022. Now I'm handing it off to Felicia to discuss our child care management system improvement project.
Thank you, Trish. DEC is using the human-centered design approach to modernizing the child care management system infrastructure to improve access, prioritize the user experience, streamline processes, and promote effectiveness and efficiency. We have 2 projects. The Code for America project will deliver a family and provider application portal that is mobile friendly. This project has a design and delivery plan in development. There's also prototyping, and we are preparing for delivery. The next, DEC posted the request for a proposal to modernize its attendance and payment system. The RFP period closed around December 13th, 2023, and IDHS is scoring the proposals this month. I will now pass to Bethany to share on the 2023 program enrollment.
Thank you, Felicia. Let's talk briefly about program enrollment across all of DEC's programs and services in calendar year 2023. As you can see here, we have seen growth, and in some programs, significant growth across the Division of Early Childhood's major services and programs, including the Child Care Assistance Program, Early Intervention, and DHS Home Visiting. In the Child Care Assistance Program, we have seen growth from approximately 113,000 children served to 126,000 children served in one individual month. Similarly, we have provided CCAP reimbursement to nearly 16,000 providers last year, up to nearly 18,000 providers this year. That is a 12% increase for both children served and providers reimbursed over the course of 2023. In early intervention, we've seen a bit of a smaller increase from 26,500 children to 26,900 children over the course of 2023. And then in DHS home visiting programs, a 15% increase from 2,500 children up to 2,900 children by the end of 2023. Over the course of 2023 and now into 2024, the Division of Early Childhood will continue to serve as many families as we can and as robustly as possible with the funding provided to the division, both by our federal partners as well as by the Illinois General Assembly. We can go on to the next slide now for a brief look ahead into 2024. I want to touch briefly here on the governor's announcement back in October and proposal for early childhood. So we can go on to the next slide with a little bit more detail. As many of you know, in late October of last year, Governor Pritzker announced a proposal to create a unified early childhood state agency. The following programs that you can see listed here and funding are proposed to be included in this unified agency. This includes the Illinois State Board of Education's Preschool for All and Prevention Initiative programs, the Illinois Department of Human Services Child Care Assistance Program, Home Visiting and Early Intervention Services, and the Department of Children and Family Services Daycare Licensing Programs. These programs were all listed in a press release from the governor's office in late October following the governor's announcement. This will, of course, be a years-long transition, as stated by the governor's office, and includes a transition advisory committee to provide input on this process. Ann Whalen is serving as the transition director in the governor's office, and Bella Mote is serving as the leader of the transition advisory committee. As many of you know, the governor's announcement of a unified agency builds on recommendations from the Governor's Commission on Equitable Early Childhood and Education and Care Funding. Starting in December 2019, the Commission met regularly to study and make recommendations to the governor on funding goals and mechanisms that would provide more equitable access to high-quality early childhood education and care services. And one key recommendation from that report was to centralize early childhood systems in one agency. So a quick reminder here on the work ahead. Of course, the Department of Human Services and the Division of Early Childhood is looking forward to partnering closely, continuing to partner closely with the governor's office and our sister agencies on this work over the coming months and years. And with that, we will wrap up our year in review. I know there have been some questions that have come through the Q&A box. Now is your last call to be dropping those in as we start to tackle and respond to some of these questions. In addition, beyond the Q&A box, please feel free as well to submit any questions to us, perhaps more specific questions about your own program or questions that come to you later via the email that you see on the screen here. That is dhs.dec.csi, customer service and inquiries @illinois.gov. And I will turn it over to Corey to tackle our first question that we've got in our Q&A box. Corey?
Thank you, Director Patton. Trish, looks like we have a question for you regarding, actually this is from a registration doc that we sent out prior to this meeting. Will there be any help with addressing the staffing shortages since the pandemic?
Sure. So we've been actively doing that with DEC, even through the COVID relief funds, and currently with the Smart Start transition grants. All these grants and these programs have a goal of retaining and recruiting. So in addition to the Smart Start transition grants, we have the apprenticeship program, as mentioned. We have the Early Childhood Access Consortium, also known as ECA, supporting folks in the field to further their education, and hopefully will also lead to both recruitment and retainment of folks for the field for early childhood. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now, Bethany, I believe we're going to pass the question over to Felicia.
That sounds great. Thanks, Corey. There is a question in the Q&A specifically around communications to providers and how to get updated information around the Child Care Assistance Program into providers' hands as quickly and seamlessly as possible, how providers might be able to receive that information directly and share that with their community. Felicia, can you speak a little bit to this question?
Sure, thank you. We are currently exploring through our technological improvements how we can best communicate with our nearly 18,000 child care providers in regards to CCAP funding and other improvements to our CCMS systems. So we are currently exploring that.
Wonderful. Thank you, Felicia. I see there's another question in the chat around parameters and criteria for state fiscal year 2025 when it comes to Smart Start childcare. As I mentioned, our programs are supported by appropriations through our federal officers and federal partners, as well as in the case of Smart Start moving into next year through General Revenue Fund appropriations. So we will be able to share more information about all of our Smart Start initiatives following the governor's budget address in late February, a little over a month from now. So we look forward to sharing more information throughout the General Assembly spring session as we await a signed budget at the end of the spring to support those Smart Start initiatives going into state fiscal year 2025. Let's see other questions that we have in our Q&A. I know we have one question here around our early intervention enrollment and participation, and in particular, the increase in size in participation in EI over the course of 2023. Leslie, can you share a little bit more color commentary there around our increase in participation and what we're doing to support expanded supply for EI?
Yes. So we are working to support the workforce. We know that the demand for children that are entitled to the EI services is higher than our supply of the current workforce. So as you saw in our strategic plan and our Smart Start goals, our main goal is to get the workforce strengthened and expand that supply, and then lower any service delay rates as we go forward.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, Leslie. Corey, any other questions that we may be able to address this afternoon?
I see a question having to do with the ECA scholarship and whether or not that will continue after 2024. I believe the answer to this is at this time, we're not actually going to be fielding that question. We can follow up with certain of these during our FAQ at the end of this period.
And Corey, happy to chime in here on this one as well. Similar to our other Smart Start initiatives, many of those programs will be waiting on the budget process to work its way through this spring and awaiting that state fiscal year 2025 budget. So we should be able to share more information shortly around those state fiscal year 2025 funds.
Absolutely. And it looks like, Bethany, we're going to be following up quite a bit with some folks regarding some specific questions, or to be able to capture those in an FAQ as we move forward. And that will include not only the slide deck, as well as answers to questions that have come in to us via the Q&A.
That sounds wonderful. I have seen that deluge start to roll in on the Q&A side, so we'll look forward to following up with folks with a robust, frequently asked questions after our meeting concludes here today. And so with that, really wanting to thank everyone for joining here this afternoon to tune in and listen a little bit around our year in review for 2023. As Associate Secretary Chernowski stated, I think 2024 will be equally exciting when it comes to the early childhood field. And so very much looking forward to working in partnership with all of you, as well as really wanting to express gratitude for the work that you all do each and every day on behalf of young children and families in Illinois. So with that, stay warm, enjoy your afternoon, and we will be sharing materials here shortly. Thank you so much.